today I want to talk about the 3 often missed tips with resumes. I'm going to focus on the acronym FAC. Framing your resume, analyzing your resume, and communicating your resume. Often we have mistakes in life when it comes to planning. Have you guys heard of the 5 Ps? 5 Ps? No? Okay. Proper planning prevents poor performance. It's the same thing when it comes to your resume search. So the first thing I want to focus on is framing your resume. Anybody here ever hear of a career counselor? There's probably some in the room, right? How about a career coach, right? How about a career consultant, right? Okay, so when it comes to framing your resume, you want to focus on what's the end goal. A lot of people want to get a job, they say, I need a resume, right? They sit online, they get a template, they call a friend, they call their parents, they say, I need a resume, right? That's the first step. But a lot of times we don't know the end goal. So what I tell my clients a lot of time is, what's your end goal? What's your strategy to get there? Do you know what you want to be when you grow up, right? I'm 29, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So I just do a little bit of everything, right? So a lot of us might be in a second career, or we might be seeking school, or we might be seeking another trade, something vocational. So how do we frame that? A lot of times we make a mistake and we just hop right into it. So today, there's a couple of things about framing I'm going to share with you. I'm going to spend most of my time on framing, and then we're going to talk about analyzing, and then we'll talk about communicating. Okay, so with framing, anybody here ever built a house before? You built a house, okay?
I am doing it.
You're building right now, okay. So when you're building a house, you get blueprints, right? You get drawings, calculations, foundation. What do you want it to look like? What's the goal? Is it something to live in? Is it investment property, right? So you're going to frame it first. You're going to figure out what your end goal is, and you're going to build it. Same thing is with the resume. You have to frame what's the point of the resume. Are you trying to get a new job? Are you trying to get promoted? Or is it just for tracking purposes? Some people have created businesses and they just want a resume just to track their experience or the skills or the knowledge that they got throughout that business. If you've ever built a house before, did you build it by yourself? No. You brought in a professional, someone to help you out. One of the best things about the world we live in today is the internet, and there's a lot of people who can help you out. So as I mentioned, you've got career counselors, you've got resume writers, you have programs. If you're in the military, you have the Veterans Administration, or if you have a special trade, there's lots of organizations that focus on your trade. You want to work with a professional or someone who can help guide and frame what the purpose of your resume is and help develop a strategy for using your resume. That's the first step. Most people miss that part and they hop right into the resume, right? The second thing I want to talk about is analyzing your resume. So let's take a step back. You figure out what you want to do. You figure out you need a resume. You work with someone, you work with the organization, or you do it on your own, you do your own research. You create your resume. What happens next? The next mistake is we hop right into it. We start blasting out all these resumes and getting all these phone calls that we're not answering, right? No, we'll answer, but you know. So how do you effectively evaluate that your resume is working? Does anybody know? Right?
By checking how many calls back you have.
Okay, so exactly. So a lot of times when you're applying online, there's research that says less than 6% of resumes actually make it to a human eyes. Because they have online applicant tracking systems that will scan your resume for keywords. You guys have heard about this. And if it doesn't meet the criteria, what happens? It goes into the twilight zone or the outer limits, whichever one you liked back in the day, right? So you might be applying and you might not have a strategy on how to analyze that your resume is even working. So what can you do? Well, like I said, you can talk to organizations, you can talk to people, but it's about putting together a plan as far as how many applications are you kicking out per week, per month? Are you hearing back? If you're not analyzing, if you're not tracking that, you'll never really know. So how do you do it? I have some friends who say, okay, I've got associates in whatever, a bachelor's in whatever, master's in whatever. I'm going to apply to 5 jobs per week. And after a month, they've applied to 20 positions or so, right? Out of those 20 positions, they got 1 phone call or 1 email back that says, thank you for your resume, we'd like to bring you in for interview. Indeed is really, really good at this online. They've got the profiles up there. Once you set your profile up, you can apply to multiple positions sometimes, right? Now, I wouldn't recommend putting all your eggs in one basket just by applying on Indeed or Monster. But you can go on other websites, go to the company's websites, the organization's websites directly, and also you can track those as well. How many applications did you put out? How many responses did you get back? Or you can also utilize the people in your network, right? That's a good way to analyze. You reach out to, I don't know, Lisa or Veronica or Jonathan, Josh, someone that you know, and say, hey, you know, I replied to your email, or I sent you a resume, I applied to this posting. You know, have you heard any feedback? Any words around about me or anything? Then, now you're effectively analyzing how far your resume is going. Because they may come back and say, oh, we have heard something, and we either already filled the position, or I'll see what I can do, or I can talk to the hiring manager, or you'll get some type of feedback as an example. Those are a couple of recommendations I have for analyzing how your resume is performing. You want to follow the same process, you know, in today's world with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very, very focused on analysis and details. I don't work for LinkedIn, but they have a premium package through LinkedIn, and with that premium package, it gives you additional insights on how your profile is performing. How many people are looking at it, how many HR recruiters are looking at it, how many positions you apply to, how your profile ranks to other profiles. And I don't even know how they can do that, but they rank your profile higher if you are a premium account. I don't know how they do that, but anyway, they give you lots of statistics that you can use to track your resume, track your applications, or track your LinkedIn profile. So that's kind of how you should focus on analyzing. Those are just a couple of tidbits, and we can take questions on that part later. But I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about communicate, right? So he mentioned something that was very passionate. The previous speaker mentioned first impressions. I'm really big on first impressions. They really do last forever. And so you have to think your resume is science and arts of who you are. Okay? The science is the experience, the skills, the facts. Okay, that's who you are. We know what you did as an occupation. We can see that from your resume. We know how much money you made your company, or how much costs you decreased, or if you're a cook, how many people you served. But the arts is the hard part. We often make mistakes with that as well. Who are you? You know, what is your passion? What do you want to do? How do you communicate that through the resume? Well, a lot of times, most people recommend the resume is really not the time to communicate your passions. They just want to see if you meet the quota or not. So that's why it's very important for your resume to be covered with a cover letter or a LinkedIn profile. Or if you do get to interview, there's your other time to communicate really who you are, the science, the facts, also the passion, the arts, whatever that makes you who you are as an individual, as a profession, you have to make sure you communicate that. So just to recap, there's 3 things, right? FAC, frame, analyze, and communicate. Who you are through your resume, through your cover letter, through your LinkedIn profile. We often make mistakes with these, but if you focus in that kind of sequential steps, you realize that you know the end goal before you start applying. You can track it as you progress forward, and then you can communicate it throughout to anyone in your network, via online, via email, social media, word of mouth, pick up the phone, call. Let people know you're interested, you're applying, and you never know how they may come back around to help you out. So those are the 3 often missed resume tips.